Hello, Bayfield here. You're listening to Purple City Souffle Sonic Waffle. It's episode 3, and we've got Ruckspin of Submotion Orchestra back in the hot seat because essentially we got way too pissed on episode 2, talked utter shit, and felt the need to correct ourselves on more or less everything. If you've not heard episode 2 yet, maybe nip back and check that out first. But if you've actually got more important things to do with your day, which isn't unlikely, just listen to this one. And don't forget to share, subscribe, all that embarrassing shit that we have to ask now because all anyone cares about are numbers and not the quality of the chat. Well, actually, to be honest, if you care about the quality of the chat again, you probably shouldn't be listening to this. You might just be better off listening to a TED Talk or even just sitting in a room in total silence for 95 minutes. Do what you want, really. I'm not your father. Episode 3, Ruckspin, aka Dom Howard of Submotion Orchestra.
Sonic Waffle. Listen. Fuck what you heard.
It's just not feasible. It's just not feasible, Dom.
Yeah, one day, mate.
So was that what you trained as then originally, a recording engineer?
I mean, I didn't train per se. I went to Leeds College of Music to do music production. Yeah, recording engineering was part of that, but I didn't go there to do that. I mean, yeah, you kind of learn how to mic up a guitar as sort of part of the course, but I wasn't interested in that.
Job done.
I was just kind of like, guitars. I was more into I want to learn how to do really good programming of amens.
Yeah, you were drum and bass head, weren't you?
Well, yeah. So, but yeah, you kind of, and then I started doing live engineering just for Gentleman's Dub Club, because
I didn't know you engineered for those guys.
only 1 or 2 gigs,
Oh, really?
just when Harry couldn't do it. And I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was in at the deep end. But yeah, and then obviously with Submo starting, had to do it for that. So I kind of had to learn a lot.
So live engineering, what's the difference between a live engineer and what do you actually fucking do as a live engineer? Just make sure everything doesn't sound dog shit mics wise and stuff. Or...
Essentially, yeah. I mean, they're basically the same thing. It's just there's different factors and priorities when you're sort of engineering a live show as opposed to a studio thing. With a live show, for instance, a festival, you've got 45 minutes between the acts. So that's
if that.
so you're relying on a lot of people that you've never met before.
Yeah, who don't have a clue what's going on.
Maybe are just roped in as volunteers or whatever, you don't know. It's all about speed. It's all about speed and communication and just making sure everyone knows exactly what's going on.
So my next question is, why the hell would you want to do that? That sounds
awful.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's just stressful. And the thing is, no one notices. It's like anything behind the scenes.
If you do it well, no one knows you did it. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like visual effects and stuff. If they're good, people won't spot them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had one recently where, basically our singer's very quiet, so you get a lot of stage sound coming through her mic because it's so loud, so loud. And I had one person come over who was first of all, she went over to the lighting desk and started shouting at him, and I thought, oh no, this is
here comes someone from the festival,
one of those people. And she came over to me, she was like, there's too much reverb on the vocal or something. I mean, I hadn't even had a chance to dial in any reverb because I was so rushed to get it working. But obviously, I was doing my dub effects and the delaying and reverbs and whatever. But I mean, that's for me to decide if there's too much reverb on them. Not
so
you.
Who
are you?
Was she just an overly keen punter?
Well, this is the thing. So I thought I basically just said no, while she was talking, I was just no, while I'm still trying to work. It's it's like if you're DJing and someone comes up to you and goes oh, you're not playing the right song.
Hi-hats are clashing.
It's just no, I'm working now. Do I come and tell you how to do your job? Do I tell you oh, your spreadsheet's wrong on that, whatever you're doing it in your office?
I think that's a great day off. We should maybe do that as a side special. just walk into people's work and go, you're stacking that wrong. Older fruit to the front, fresh stuff at the back. You've not got this at all. Yeah. Just dog people and their daily occupations. Just give them shit. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, just walking up behind people in their commute, just being what do you call that, a suit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just
really, you're not reading the right paper on the way to work, are you?
Yeah.
That's going to get you all riled up and you're going to be rude on the phone to customers. Should be reading something much lighter on the way in.
Exactly.
Save your stresses for the way out.
But it is, I mean, it was fascinating because then it turned out that person was somehow a friend of someone in the band.
Right.
And then just rocked up at our dressing room while I'm like getting changed, and then like because it was like quite a muddy festival, so I was like changing my trousers or something. I mean, you want privacy. That's what a dressing room's for. You want privacy, even if you're not getting changed, just to chill out, just away from the madness of a festival. She just walked in, started eyeing up all the booze, was like asking if she can have some drink. It's like, who are you?
Did the person in the band whose friend she was she anyone's friend?
Well, but it turned out some people were staying at her mate's house or something. So she felt like she was like part of the band. And then she started like, I think I had pissed her off.
Well, because she put too much reverb on the vocals, Dom. You don't know what you're fucking doing,
But then she started
mate.
like going, okay, so you're the bassist, you're the singer, you're the drummer. What do you do? Oh, you play keys. And then was obviously making a point of the fact that...
What do you do,
Yeah,
mate?
exactly. Why am I even here? You clearly don't do anything. So, yeah, and then we had to give her a lift in the van, and me and the singer in the back were just like, fucking, what the fuck, who the fuck is this person? Yeah,
I love amateur experts. That's totally an occupation for us for another day. We'll maybe pop in the bar and let them know they're serving all the drinks from.
Well, I mean, I do that anyway.
I do. Yeah, I tend to do that.
Like, no.
45-degree tilt on the glass is going to be really foamy. Yeah. No, it's going to go flat now. You've done that wrong. We should probably address the elephant in the room. We should probably address why we've done another podcast.
Yes.
I mean, the last one, I was watching the football en route. It was already coming home by the time I arrived. Yeah. And it had thoroughly come home by the time we started recording.
Yeah, and we had, I still got that, the rest of that.
Oh, yeah, the Contrail and bourbon. Yeah. With the Death Star sized ice cubes.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, they weren't cubes.
It's a bit early for them, I think.
I've already had 2 pints and spoons. So. I've done me morning ablutions, mate. I'm hot to trot. But so that was a good preamble to a serious conversation.
Yeah, and I felt like there were points where...
that made no sense.
Well, yeah, that made no sense, but also points where maybe I was... Well, because I'm on this super strength hay fever tablets.
Oh, this sounds like party line coming out.
But, I mean, even after, like, one drink, I'd felt my brain slowing down.
You did seem really sloshed, because you didn't start drinking till I got here in the second half.
Basically. I mean, I had, like, one beer or something.
Yeah, I was well ahead of you by the time I arrived. I'd had about 6 pints.
But you were, like... in full flow, and I was just kind of like yeah. So this
is like when Joss Stone came back off that US tour and did the Brit Awards with an American accent. Do you not remember this?
No.
She came out and did, I think it was the Brit Awards, it was some awards show, and she came out and like they gave the little preamble to an award, and she had like a thick Californian accent on.
Oh my God.
And everyone was like, why the fuck has Joss Stone come out with no shoes on and an American accent? She's from like Cornwall.
I mean, she very often doesn't wear shoes. But
and her publicist rolled out and was like, yeah, she was jet lagged. And I was like, since when did jet lag mean you put on funny accents? Like, she was jet lagged. She turned into Inspector Clouseau for the afternoon. I mean, it's great PR, great attempt. Like, they just sort of thought, if we put this out, it's so mad, no one will question it. They'll just go fine.
But I mean, also, it got people talking. So,
I mean, I've remembered it all these years later.
Job done.
And I don't think I remember any Joss Stone songs.
No.
I just remember her weird American accent, the fact she never wears any shoes.
She used to go out with someone in, I think... I'm not sure, but I think she used to go out with someone in Chaiwalas, and they do tents.
Festival tents and shisha pipe people, aren't they?
Yeah, they kind of helped us out on the way up in terms of Submo, just getting us gigs.
Right. Because they always have like DJs in their tents and that. Yeah, it's like a mini stage. Isn't it?
And they're lovely guys, and like they liked our music and stuff, so they were kind of putting us on. And then every now and then you just see a barefoot Joss Stone, like...
Did she have a different accent every time?
I mean, I didn't
just
chat to her.
Just like fake moustache and a French accent. Like, hello, I'm Joss Stone. That'd be fantastic if everywhere she went, she just assumed a new Joss Stone personality. Yeah, maybe
I
we
mean,
should...
that would put the kidnappers off her scent, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Just look for the woman with no shoes on and
not
like a
me.
fake moustache. Yeah, it's not me you're looking for. Has Joss Stone ever been on the kidnappers list? She seems...
Yeah, she was. Wasn't it that
Was
those
she?
people that they went to Cornwall?
They went to just driving around Cornwall looking for Joss Stone.
They literally did. They got done because someone alerted the police to these guys who were driving around near where she lived,
Right.
asking people
If they'd seen Joss Stone.
or they had like a map with. And they had like bits of paper in the car with like her face on, and then like
Right, sorry.
where she lived on a map.
Really?
Yeah.
This
Just,
is
like,
what
total
fascinates
idiots.
me. Yeah, but what shit criminals?
Yeah.
Like if you're hunting someone,
Yeah,
like
they're
like a
useless.
serial killer,
Yeah.
you have that weird little room in your house behind a soundproof door. You don't just stick them on the dash of the
You
car.
clearly
and
thought this through.
roll
haven't you?
round town with the roof down. Like here's my spray, here's my
Yeah.
kill sheet.
You clearly have a fake room like me.
Yeah. It's pretty soundproof in here, Dom. People,
right,
people
yeah,
in
yeah.
glass houses, mate.
that's true.
I didn't know she was on some sort of kidnapping hot list.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Why? She's awful.
I'm not sure.
There's,
I think it's
there's
money.
better soul
I think
singers
it's
to
money,
kidnap. Yeah, but she is actually fucking rich.
She's
Because
quite
she's huge
rich,
in
yeah.
America, isn't she?
maybe.
Like her stuff.
but I
she's,
don't.
she's
Think,
one of them people
I think
that
she
just...
started off pretty rich. Or
Yeah,
like
she's
her
not.
family
She's
is pretty well
she's.
off.
Well, if they live in Cornwall,
Yeah.
they're either a really racist farmer, or they're rich, or both.
Yeah.
There's going to be one of.
Maybe,
No
yeah.
offense to Cornwall, but most of you are fucking racist farmers. We haven't got any Cornish listeners.
Allegedly.
I don't think. I can check the metadata. I can see if I can have a look at the analytics later and see.
I mean,
if
there
anyone
was
from
when
Cornwall-
we recorded in Cornwall for the last album, and
Did you drive around looking for Joss Stone in a van? Were you in the van looking for Joss?
Yeah.
We need a vocalist.
Been rumbled. No, it was like we kind of went through the town, and there was UKIP like shop, like you know how
Like
you know
a
how
gift
you,
shop.
Well, not yeah, maybe, but like you know how you get like the Conservative
Yeah, I know.
Party
Yeah,
headquarters,
they're like like
or
the office. The
or an office, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had like a full-on UKIP like purple shop
Yeah.
thing on the high street, and I was just like, wow,
See, this
That
is
is brazen.
This has fucked me up a bit though, because obviously the thing is called Purple City Souffle.
Mm.
I wear a lot of purple, and I'm from Great Yarmouth, which
Oh, no.
historically little bit racist.
Yeah.
So I'm now just rolling around the most racist seaside town in Britain in all purple, and it's
It's
I might have-
kind of like
we might have to rebrand.
yeah.
I'm hoping UKIP just disappear and I can keep the. And doesn't their logo now look like the Pound Stretcher logo?
A little bit, yeah.
It's very Pound Stretchery.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's got to
but
do
that
with it.
kind of appeals to.
Yeah, I suppose so. If you're in Pound Stretch, you're buying your 4,000 pink wafers for £1, and you think, oh, I'm fed up with black people.
Yeah.
I'll join UKIP. I can't believe that. So were there like sticks of rock and stuff in the shop, or was it more?
I didn't go in. Surprisingly enough,
Yeah, but
I
surely-
kind of avoided it
Surely
like
on
the
a,
plague.
yeah, but surely on a curiosity level, you got to go in there.
Oh no.
Like if you ever get invited to drinks with Scientology, or drinks with the Freemasons, you're not going to say no, are
Well,
you?
I'd
You
be
gonna-
pretty scared. I think I probably would say no.
See, I think I'd
I'd
probably.
say, how did they get my address?
I'd be like, this is going to be great. I'd be like a journalist, and within an hour, I'd have joined them. I'd just be like, I'd just be convinced. I'd be lost in a maze of Scientology. So, which album were you recording in Cornwall then? Was that
That
for
was the
Submo?
latest one. That was Kites.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. That's gone back to more steppy kind of.
Well, that's because basically we wanted to all record in a studio.
Right. Oh, because
Uh,
the one before was all done like individually,
it's
wasn't
like
it? And then you
they were
assembled.
sending me bits, and to be honest, like anyone before that, even if we've had a studio to record in, everyone's kind of done everything separately, and we've overdubbed, and we've
Yeah.
done drums first, and then keys, and then layering everything. But yeah, I think because people wanted to have a bit more of a live feel to it, and it wanted to translate to the live show a lot smoother. So and also just because.
Surely it's more fun.
It's a lot more fun to record together, and you get more of a feel for stuff. And obviously, if the tracks are completely finished and you've rehearsed them, you can go into a recording studio, do
And
several
just-
takes, and then just pick the best take,
Yeah.
and that's your track, which was what I was thinking it was going to be. But then obviously, it turned out to be a bit more complicated. But
So how does Submo have like one songwriter, or does everyone just turn up with ideas? How do you kind of structure it as a?
I mean, it started off being sort of, so the first few tunes we did an EP to start with, which was Sunshine, All Night, Finest Hour, and something else maybe. But Sunshine and All Night were written by, were tracks of mine, either collabs or, you know, I think Sunshine was me and Quark. We put out on Ranking on like a white label. This
I think it was Ranking.
Yeah, it was like, well, it wasn't Ranking. It was like a white label thing that they did, because it was that and Horns on, which was like, you know, Horns, the horn track, the rave track. So I did like a 2008 dubstep version of it.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that actually.
Yeah, and that was like,
that was a big tune.
But that was just because, I mean, firstly we contacted the guy who had done the original Horns track, which was obviously a sample from something.
Yeah.
And he had no leg to stand on, but he was trying to say, speak to my manager. So we tried to reach out.
It just
to
wasn't
them.
Feasible.
Nothing. Well, we got nothing back. So we were like, well, look, they're not going to do anything about this, so we'll just do it. The Sunshine track was a vocal, an a cappella, that me and Quark had put on we'd sort of worked into a track, and we didn't know where the vocal had come from. I still don't know. I've looked through my hard drive. I tried to work out who the singer is.
Well, you don't even know who sings it.
Don't know who sings it. It's almost like it's a reggae tune, but we've looked up so many songs, and it's like that with those. I've looked up those lyrics. I can't find anything.
So did you record the vocal,
weird.
or you literally?
It's like there was a ghost.
It just dropped it off in your hard drive.
Well, we were looking through hard drives for vocals and samples, as you do. You just look around for stuff. That we'd sort of started this tune, and then we found this vocal that just really worked, and we chopped it up and used like a few bits of it.
And no one's ever come back to you and been like...
No one's ever said anything.
That's awesome. That's like a free dinner.
Well, that's it. And then so Submo covered that, which we still play to this day, that one. And then All Night was based on... Well, that came out on Ranking, but there was like a sort of... It was an instrumental on Ranking, and then Tommy had written some lyrics for it, which then turned into a Submo tune. Then Finest Hour was Tommy's track that he had written for Submo. So it sort of started off being a sort of combination of... Yeah. But it was very 140, like...
Yeah, the early stuff was really like... It was just like a dubstep kind of record.
Yeah.
Because was Finest Hour an album after that?
So then after that...
an EP fused with new bits?
Yeah, so there was the EP, and then we kind of re-recorded that track and some new tracks for the album, for the first album. So, yeah, then I think Tommy and Ed Thomas wrote All Yours, did the bulk of it, basically, which was basically just they were going through the jazz reel book, you know, like with all the sort of jazz standards.
Right.
And used titles of tracks.
Oh, really?
Built a song...
What, off jazz standards?
Of literally pretty much every line in All Yours is the title of a jazz standards.
Oh, wicked. I didn't know. That's awesome.
It's kind of, I think that's also how it's resonated with a lot of people, because the lines are so classic.
Yeah, that you
like, turns out the stars, body and soul, you know, that just kind of like...
Yeah, stuff you know.
Just
it's almost
things
embedded
that are
in
almost like part of the pop, sort of
the
jazz pop discourse, and so it's kind of, that's done really well, and a lot of people have sort of sampled it in hip hop and whatever. I think, and it, like, some of it was recorded mainly at Prince Fatty's studio in Brighton.
Right.
Prince Fatty is now managed by the same manager, but they were kind of mates anyway, and he's got a lot of experience with recording production, and at the time I had very little. So I think we ended up, he mixed some of the songs on the album, and I mixed some of the others, because I think like stuff like Back Chat, the instrumental numbers on the album had to be like more full on and electronic, whereas stuff like All Yours and Suffer Not, there were some other ones that were more kind of ballady. He was quite... Like, he used a lot of classic gear, and so it gave it like more of a classic feel.
Like that kind of old school recording technique feel.
So he was sort of running drums back out through a reel to reel, and like giving it sort of a vintage sound,
giving it some vintage crud.
Yeah, so that was nice, and I think we kind of struck a nice balance, because the thing is, when he mixed the more like modern tunes, it didn't work as well. So then we kind of did a bit of both. But yeah, and then fragments after that was all done at mine. I was sharing with Sparrow in Leeds at that point.
So did you meet Ryan through it just being in Leeds, and is that how you and him got together to do Orpha originally?
Well, Simon Scott put us together, basically.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Simon, who's runs Subdub and Outlook and Tribe Records. Because I was working in Tribe Records on and off, just, the odd, just helping out. I was sort of playing some of my crazy nonsense to him. Like, it was just weird things that I was making. And he suggested that I hook up with Ryan. And so I started going around to Ryan's. And then after the first album, I think, so we put out the Ortha album on
Tectonic, wasn't it?
Then we decided to get a studio together.
Oh, right.
And do some more stuff.
So do you always do the Orpha stuff together in the room?
That's the best way, I think.
Yeah.
Is when you're both in it. I mean, I've done some collabs where I've sort of worked with people overseas, like over the internet and whatever, but it's always ended up that I just end up, like, they'll send an idea and then I'll just finish it.
The clean-up man.
Well, because I like to see things through, I'm not going to send people, like, an unfinished thing. I'll sort of take someone's idea and then see it through to the end.
And as well, if your name's on it and it's half done.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm the same with stuff like that. It's like, if it's not done,
Even though I'm supposed to be collaborating with them, like, I can't send them something that I'm not already proud of to be there you go. And fair enough, if they turn around and go, oh, that's not really the direction that I wanted to go in, then fine, we'll do something else. But I find if you're in the room together, literally every decision along the way is a collab decision. Yeah,
that's the thing I've never understood. When people are like, oh yeah, I produced it with so and so, and they're on the other side of the planet.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, no. I feel personally,
someone did more of the work.
It's like, surely you just made some drums, then they stuck a sample on it, then you stuck a hi-hat on it, and that's not working together. That's just like, so when you make up a story and you just add the next line in, and it's like,
I think there is a thing where you can do like a screen sharing.
Oh yeah, but that's technology.
That sounds and like you put someone on Skype on.
That just sounds like a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Rather just save up for a flight.
Yeah.
Spend 2 days sat in a room with someone.
Sit on sleep on a sofa or something.
Yeah, I think that's a much better way to do it. Because actually, something I was going to ask you about. Didn't Submotion do an EP on Circus?
Yeah, well,
that seems like a really strange. I wanted to ask you about that before, but obviously I was too pissed to remember.
I mean, I found it pretty strange at the time, but
because it's not a Circus-sounding record. It's not like Submo went and did.
Absolutely, we got absolutely hung out to dry on SoundCloud and their social media.
Oh yeah, no, I remember everyone kicking off.
This isn't dubstep.
Dubstep's dead. They've made an EP with Circus.
What's happened to Circus? I used to think they were good.
But there were people from the other side, like proper dubstep fans going, oh, why the fuck would they sign with Circus? Who do they?
Yeah, well, exactly. So it was just everyone from both ends. Yeah, it was just like
it's a good EP.
Yeah,
it's got some good
nice
stuff on.
I mean, the thing with that EP, I think we basically just made it and then
shopped it around.
I think our manager was like looking at potential labels or whatever. And Circus said they were interested because, and we all went to a meeting with them. And we were like, "This is a bit weird. Why Circus? Surely this is not a good idea." But then they were saying, "Well, we're trying to."
They were keen to get out
of this thing, and then they played us. I remember it because it's Swanee who I've got an old tape pack of his or something. So he used to be an old rave DJ, like old school sort of hardcore dude. And he was it Swanee or I think it is Swanee, and he's like running it. But so I was like chatting to him, and like we got on, like I get on with them, and I think Tommy had even had like a collab writing session with what's his name, Flux Pavilion, who's an amazing singer.
Well, he plays a lot of instruments, and he's a really good like multi-instrumentalist, isn't he? It's not always reflected in his tunes.
That's it. So I thought, okay, this could be interesting because they might be trying to do something different. And then they said, we're trying to try this other avenue and trying to sort of be more than just a jump up dubstep thing. And I said, oh, so what do you have any other
Yeah,
people?
well-
Because I want to know
What else?
your
yeah,
other plans
what
are.
it's going to sit in
Yeah,
amongst.
we've got this really cool guy who's like, doing some stuff, and they played me, and it was awful. I was like, I mean, not awful, but it was just not.
Yeah, not
It was
necessarily.
nothing like what we
yeah.
were doing. So I was kind of like, I don't know about this. But you know, I guess it's just one of those things where it's like, if someone's willing to take a punt on you,
Yeah.
and they've got a massive reach.
Well, that's the thing.
So-
Circus is it's like it's similar to what's Skrillex's label, Ausler.
yeah.
They release loads of really strange and quite interesting, like down tempo electronica and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you like Skrillex's music, it's probably got limited range. But yeah, they've got the budget that they can take a punt
That's it.
on things that aren't necessarily, you
Yeah.
know, in their usual wheelhouse.
That's it.
But,
So I mean, you know, like, and there wasn't any sort of animosity there. Like, maybe to begin with, I was thinking like, oh, what? No, this isn't my vibe.
Yeah.
I think they're good at what they do. They clearly have a very professional.
Yeah, they must know what they're doing because they're still about.
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
in an age where no one makes much
you know,
money.
and they are good musicians. Like Flux is clearly a good musician. Like, they've just chosen to do this thing that I maybe isn't to my taste,
Yeah.
but
And
I don't
actually,
hold anything against them.
a
for
couple of them early ones. They're proper like bro.
Tear out,
Some
yeah.
of them. There's a couple of bangers. There's like one
Yeah.
Cookie Monster tune. It's all right.
that. Yeah,
Funk
yeah.
Case has got a couple of bangers. Like I can't listen to an hour of it.
No,
Like it's
yeah.
all right throwing one in a set as a bit of a livener.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know when you go to the nights that are 10 hours.
I
of
just think it's something that I like. Clearly, a lot of people are into, and that's fine. And I don't have anything against it. It's just not
Yeah.
my type of thing. In the same way as like sitting through an hour of a ballet isn't really my sort of cup
No.
of tea. But people do enjoy it. and like, fine,
I
whatever.
struggle massively with jazz.
Yeah,
I think jazz is the dullest shit on earth. And everyone's like, well, it's about the musicianship. I'm like, yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
play any instruments and I don't know any music theory, so I can't appreciate the technicality.
I think.
And my
I think,
argument with that is, if you want to go, oh, well, it's about the musicianship. Transformers 4 is an amazingly made film in terms of technical visual
Yeah,
effects.
exactly,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fucking shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch Transformers 4, right?
No, but you've got to recognise the difference of between what you're saying. Transformers 4 is a particular.
Yeah, but that's
Thing.
probably the bro step of.
Well, this is the thing.
visual effects,
So
but-
saying that you don't like jazz is like
No,
saying,
I don't not like jazz, but
you
I don't
like
I
dubstep.
don't- I
There's
don't-
going to be some
yeah, yeah,
jazz
yeah.
that you really
Yeah, no,
like,
that's it.
or
I
that
don't-
connects with you.
But that's it. I mean, as an overall genre, though,
Yeah.
it's not something my ear naturally leads me to.
Sure.
I don't listen to a jazz and think, oh, I'd like to hear a bit more of this. I just sort of go, I don't really get it.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
I really
yeah,
pay
yeah.
attention, I might be like, oh,
Yeah.
that's quite cool. But I don't.
I mean, there was one because we started doing. Bobby, the trumpet player, started doing jazz nights.
Right.
They were called Submotion Presents, and it was like at an old. It was called the Ivy House in Nunhead.
I don't even know what
Basically,
Nunhead is,
it's
mate.
like an old. It's a pub that the community have sort of taken over.
Right. Oh,
And
that
they're
sounds
running it
cool.
themselves. And it's amazing, this amazing venue. It's an old. It's got like a venue next to it, next to the pub, or as part of the pub.
Yeah.
That's all in the like traditional sort of music hall
Oh, right,
style
yeah, like
with
the
a little,
vaudeville.
like a little stage and a little
Oh,
curtain,
awesome.
and it's been used in you know that was it Legend the Cray Twins film.
Oh, yeah, the Tom Hardy one.
Yeah, the Tom Hardy one. So they were using it in that, and like, and to go and listen to jazz there, like some of the musicians he got were great, and like, you know, the sort of quartets or
Yeah.
trios, and it was like full on
Yeah.
and
The
amazing
spot- the
jazz, and you're
place
just
for
like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Although my head would just be going.
Once in a while.
My head would just be going all the way through it. Why can't we just watch Slim Thug here?
Yeah,
Like, jazz is fine,
Yeah.
but this is not Slim Thug.
yeah, but
Like, let's just have.
I guess.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I will listen to a Slim Thug record and
Yeah.
think I'd just have a lovely time, and it's fucking rubbish.
yeah,
Like I'm fully aware but my head just goes, "Yeah, I like this. This is all right."
true.
Jazz
yeah,
it just
yeah.
goes, no, not having it.
Just doesn't connect.
Like I really like funk
Yeah.
and soul. I really like, but I find, and then I quite like prog. I like a lot of prog rock, like Yes, and a lot of that goes off on noodly jazzy shit.
Yeah.
But I think because it's hidden under the bullshit of psychedelic covers and people wearing capes on stage, I'm all right. It's got some pageantry.
Well, it's like Submo. There's a lot of noodly jazz nonsense in there, but it's a bunch of bass and drums as well.
I think that's
so
it.
it's
Yeah,
fine.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's like I like Submo. I really like so it's like the same thing. It carries it.
It
it's
can
just,
work.
It's dressed up enough.
Yeah.
That I will be like that's acceptable now.
The wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, totally. That I'm totally up for being lied to in music. Do you listen to prog or anything like that? Then are you proper because like, or is it just like drum and bass?
I may have done. I was brought up on classical music, so
okay.
So I was kind of my mum and my dad met in a choir, and my mum sings opera, which I was sort of. I mean, I was brought to all kinds of opera.
Were you born
rehearsals.
in the plot of a Richard Curtis film? They met in a choir, and you just grew up around like.
It was just music full on, like 24/7. And the thing is, they've not stopped. Like Dad's 86, I think, and they've just come back from a weekend of choral singing in Bath at the cathedral in Bath.
Well, good. So they're still on tour, basically.
They just don't stop. They're in like 5 different choirs. Mum used to run the church, the local church choir, which obviously at a certain age I have to like rope all my friends into, and it becomes like a social club.
Yeah.
And then everyone's scared to leave, so they sort of stay there. And it sort of turns into a choir of groaning, sort of prepubescent teenagers.
This does sound like a Richard Curtis film now.
Yeah,
he's really getting into rom-com.
Territory. Yeah. I mean, it was, and then and then Dad took up cello at the age of 60.
Well, just like that.
And then we had a little trio with I would play viola and Dad would play cello and Mum would play piano. But I mean, that was all my parents' sort of world.
So do you think drum and bass was like
definitely
the rebel response to growing up around classical?
I would go to orchestra practice on a Saturday because Mum said, look, you have to do something on the weekend. You can't just sit about and watch TV. And all I wanted to do was sit about and watch TV.
Yeah, it's totally acceptable.
Yeah, or play computer games. And I didn't have a console, so I used to go to my friends and get really excited about playing computer games. And they would have the console, and they'd be like, "Why don't you want to go outside and play? Like it's really sunny." I'm like, "No, you've got a Mega Drive. You've got that new game, yeah." So, but yeah, like. It sort of was a bit of a... So through sort of classical music... No, in fact, the timeline was classical music and like kids stuff. I still remember the King's Singers, which is like a close harmony group.
Right.
And they did an album for kids. And I still remember the songs now. And there's some amazing songs in there. But totally like classical, like choral singing. And then... we had a flat in our top floor of our house, so we would rent out.
Right.
And we had, all kinds of people stay. But then this one couple, who we're now, we've been really good friends with since, moved in from Germany, and they were big Queen fans.
Right.
And I was like maybe 10, and they got me into Queen.
Right.
And because of sort of Freddie Mercury's sort of opera background,
that
of course, totally like resonated with me, and I could get it,
Yeah.
Whereas like Rolling Stones or like the bluesy stuff, I hadn't really grown up on any of that. I mean, a lot of like South African music, because my mum's South African, so I'd heard a lot of like Ladysmith Black Mambazo and like various sort of South African acts and whatever. There was one called Mango Groove that was awful, but that, and Dad used to listen to a lot of jazz, so like Dave Brubeck and Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald and stuff, so there was a bit of context there. But like mainly getting into Queen and like all the music videos that were amazing, like just really creative sort of things.
I'm not a fan of Queen at all, but the videos, they were well ahead in terms of like, is it I Want to Break Through, where they're all cross-dressing, cleaning the house and stuff.
And
like stuff like that. That was
just really creative
and
videos.
At the time, that's quite edgy stuff to do, because like obviously Mercury was he was quite flagrantly gay, but it was never.
It was never
at the
spoken
time.
about.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't
absolutely.
like something you'd run out and use as kind of part of your marketing campaign.
No, absolutely. And but as a frontman, so
mate,
charismatic.
he's amazing. He's phenomenal.
So incredible.
It's a shame they're shit songs because I could watch Freddie Mercury all day.
Well, I thought they were
not shit songs, but
like there was a lot of.
I don't know if it was because they were successful they could do weird things, a bit like the Beatles, and kind of just go a bit weird.
They totally got to that point where they were like, now we're going to prove we can do this. And like, some of the albums, it's almost like they just do one of each genre, and they're like, we can do that too.
We can do
like,
all of that. And
they're proper stunting, like Day at the Races is full on showing off.
Man, yeah, Night
that's probably
Night at the Opera.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the two,
one.
because it was like a double, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like,
and the Night at the Opera is like, I mean, one of the songs on there is about their manager, and it doesn't hold back. It's called Death on Two Legs.
Is that about the manager?
That's
I didn't
about
know that.
their manager.
Right.
It's horrendous. Like in turn, like how much they're cussing him, and the sort of vitriol behind it. It's just like, to have all of those different. It's like a variety performance.
Yeah.
And to have all of that different stuff, like Bowie going through all his different phases, to a kid who's growing up, it's like. Like,
so many ideas.
So amazing. Like, I'm not going to get bored that you can't compartmentalize them.
Yeah. See, I actually think that's why I like, because I don't mind certain tunes, and as a kid I liked it more. But one of my mates, shout out Ian Gould, he just ran it into the ground for me. He's never stopped playing Queen in the whole time I've known him, and we'd just go camping every weekend, and we'd have a CD player with like 2 discs, and I'd have a Rolling Stones greatest hits, and he'd have some piece of shit Queen thing. And I'm like, look, you know where you are with the Stones, right? They're just going to do
They're going to do their thing.
They're going to do some grooves. They're probably going to try and finger your mum. Job's a good one, right? Whereas Queen, it's all over the place. I'm like, I like this kind of, they're going off on this, what's the one, Innuendo?
That's incredible.
I really rate that tune. And when they go off on it, I'm like, I want to hear an album of this. I like
that.
where you've gone.
Yeah, they go really prog
And then
on
it's
it,
like, oh shit, now we're just going over here to do some other thing. And I'm like, just do an album of that, then an album of something else. I don't like the meze approach.
Yeah, I think it's stuff like Innuendo is where obviously someone like Brian May or someone had pushed for a certain thing, and they were experimenting with the prog side of things, but essentially they're a major selling pop act.
A charting pop act.
Yeah, they can't do that for an album. Like, people would kick off. So they had.
But it's like, I really like Hammer to Fall as well.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear him just do a straight rock album where they don't fuck around with all the bells and whistles. And they never did that either. And I'm just there going, there's things that are great here. I just want them to simmer down.
Yeah,
simmer down.
It's true. Yeah, but I think they were just like, and if you listen to the production as well, it's like they were doing some incredible stuff with production at that time in the 80s, like just really weird vocal processing and like just doing all sorts of
the album
stuff.
It's one of the worst albums I've ever heard. I think it's like rated as their worst one too. It's got all their faces in coloured squares, in like pastel squares. It's called Hot Fuss. I think. And it's just proper weird, like sort of mechanical disco. I
think I probably glossed over that one.
It's absolute, but it's, if you actually listen to it, I was like, there's like probably some really good dance records hidden in amongst this, like. But it's just got shit pop over the top, and it's all over. But there's loads of mad, like you said, there's loads of mad techniques in it that sound
and like that. I don't know, that kind of like just pushing like for experimentation and creativity totally drew me to them as like an influence, I guess. Like and that's kind of why I get frustrated now, how everything has to be compartmentalized and put in a certain thing, and it's like, oh, you do that, so just keep the Sausage Factory going and keep putting out that same thing, because I feel like, no, I didn't grow up on that. I grew up on, like, I mean, even you go back to classical music, like some guy will write a sonata form something, and then an opera, and then a symphony, and then something else, and it'll all be completely different. It's not like you can just go, oh, they do that one thing.
But I think that's like, because it's the same. Like my hero is Tom Waits, and Tom Waits will do whatever he wants at all times, just about. And like on one of his albums, there's like in the middle of it, it's basically like a rap skit, but it's called Missing My Son, and it's like about a woman coming up to him in a supermarket, and she's like, oh, you know, can I just say goodbye to you, son, because you look exactly like my son who died. And it's like it's like this really sad little thing.
Jeez.
And then she walks out to the car at the end of this little thing and goes, goodbye, son, and it's really sad. And then the thing at the end of this little skit is she's just done it so that the cashier in the shop thinks that it's his son and he's going to pay for the groceries, and it's just a grift. And he just chucks it on an album. It's such a funny little thing. And it's just in the middle of an album.
What a twist.
Yeah, and it's just like, but he's like, why have you done that? Because I want to. Like, and that's like the kind of thing I gravitate towards, strange left turns into whatever you fancy doing. And I think the thing is now, though, because there's just so much information now in everyone can make beats, everyone can put them out instantly. The only way to control the flow of any of it is to just compartmentalize everything relentlessly.
I am that person that does this.
And that big data thing, because now everything can be tracked. It's like you now need a really clean lane to sit in, otherwise no one can ever find you. Like, it's probably where our label struggles. Well, I say label, we've only done one release, but no one really
We're
knows.
already struggling.
No, but I mean, like, in terms of like when I speak to people and say, do you want to come and do a party? They're like, so what is Purple City? And
Right,
I'm like,
yeah.
Well, we do a cookery show.
Man.
We release records. We do T-shirts.
Yeah.
Sometimes we post shit on Instagram. Sometimes
Just
we shout at people in
doing
pubs.
things.
We just do stuff. Like, we do whatever we want to do.
Man,
Like,
it's same as Submo. It's like when people are like, so what is it? And you're just like,
it's not really an orchestra, is it?
Kind of a thing. I mean, there's 7 people. I guess we're a septet.
Yeah.
And we
don't
do
all play instruments.
Bassy things. So like dubstep, well, kind of, but then
it's not 140.
Yeah, and also don't want to say dubstep because you're going to think a certain thing, and it's absolutely not that.
And we won't get booked.
Yeah, like we're not going to be at a dubstep rave anywhere near you. Like, it's not happening.
So what's author then?
Well, author is
author
is kind of dubstep, but in more like, I don't know, like when me and Ryan get together, it's kind of like he's a lot more sort of straight. I think he's more beatsy than I am. Like, I'm always wanting to like
do the Queen,
do all the
Queen thing.
all like chords and melodies and stuff. And the thing is, he's up for that. So I think it's kind of but I'm also up for making a straight banger if we need to. You know, if the track ends up going down that route,
if it's a banger, it's a banger.
I'm totally down. Like, and kind of like finding that sort of middle ground between like musical cinematic type strings and atmosphere,
theatricality,
and like there was one tune we did quite early on called "The City" that was on a single.
That was a 12-inch on Tectonic,
and it was kind of like
that was back with Teacher.
Yeah. So that was kind of like a driving sort of club track, but it also had this sort of soundscapey vibe to it as well, like in terms of like having this sort of ambience of like the rain, the urban rain ambience, and like a bit of a sort of suspense chord to it, so it felt like a bit filmy, but not but still having that energy for a club. But then there's other tracks that just totally don't have club energy.
Yeah, like, well, it's like is it After Time? The first one,
but then that still works.
Yeah, you can totally get away with that in a club, but it's not like club music at all.
No, well, it's not what you would usually term as club
I think
music,
this is something at the moment in dubstep that's interesting, is that everyone's making music just to put out on 12 inches that they know can get played in a club, because it's the only way to shift music at the minute, and no one's done an album for a while.
You get as much PR and as many bookings off an album as you do off a single, so why bother making an album?
But exactly, why make the extra why go the extra mile?
And
like, there's not been an album for a while that
career if we had spaced it out a bit.
If you've broken it down into 12 EPs.
But I kind of like, we wanted to make something that you can play out in a club, but also stick in the car and listen to, and just from start to finish.
It might be because I can't be bothered to leave the house anymore, but I'm really I want more stuff where I can put it on and leave it alone.
Just leave it and let it play through.
I don't want to have to keep getting up and changing the record.
And also like relying on mixes to do that, like download some DJ's mix. It's like
but then I find it, but then I get back into my
curated.
because I'm like all awkward people. I don't like people that can't compartmentalise what they make, but I like to compartmentalize what I listen to. So it's like I want you to go and make loads of mad stuff and go all over the place, but I will then filter that into 10 bit, like
do what I want.
So I like an album that, like, even if the genres are all over the place and the tempos, it sounds like one thing. Like that's something I like about Burial's records that some people don't like. They're like, oh, it's all a bit samey, isn't it? And I'm like,
it's like he's got a sound.
When I want to listen to that mood of music, like I don't want an up tempo banger just in the middle when I'm getting I'm getting into my little sad boy cocoon. I'm sat there feeling sorry for myself. I don't suddenly want a bro step banger just to put on a 12-inch in the middle.
That's what I'm struggling with what I'm doing, because I'm kind of doing an album that's taking a long time to just like just in between projects, just sort of fiddling around and having a play and just keeping creative, but then you end up with like a load of different stuff where you're just kind of like, how does this all fit together? I don't know.
You need to decant it into...
Well, I think what I'm going to do is just keep going until I've probably got about 5 albums worth of different things, and then I can put them all together.
Yeah, exactly. You can then just compartmentalise them all. Make it an easy sell.
Or
you could spread them out into EPs to get more bookings.
Well, that's the other one.
We've learned our lesson. We've learned our lesson here.
Just singles,
Yeah, just
A and Bs.
Well, you don't even need A and B. It's digital now. Just stream them.
Or just A's.
Put them on Spotify. Just
a single.
3-minute tunes on Spotify.
A literal single,
one a month. You probably got about 20 years in the tank if you do.
Yeah, maybe I should.
So how did you get? So when you were like back to the initial question,
right?
How did you get to drum and bass then from the world when you first got into that? Like
that was before the whole dubstep thing.
Was that when you started going raving and such?
So that was I think we spoke about it on the last one. Well, briefly.
It's pretty hazy.
I mentioned Bagleys, and that that lit up a few dead brain cells. Right, Bagleys.
I love Bagleys. Do love a Bagleys.
So I ended up playing there.
What, the Bagleys?
At Bagleys on like the last during their sort of last death throes. They did like a massive 12-room bonanza.
Oh, that's the thing. High Ranking did the mockery,
and I was like, wow, this is going to be amazing.
I bet it was rough.
Well, it was. I think it was like midwinter. It was like around Christmas. It turned out that the room that I was playing, which had been organised by some friends in Sheffield, called Junglist Alliance, and they were doing sort of jungle stuff. It was actually outdoors.
Nice.
And I'd sort of turned up like maybe about midnight, and it turned out my set was like at 4 or something.
Oh, so you just outdoors? I mean,
like DJing with clubs on.
That's the Bagleys way.
Yeah, no, but it kind of wasn't as. I felt like, it's going to be like going back to where it all started, and that's going to be really nice, and I'll have all these memories, and I was just like, this is horrible.
Just another bitter life lesson, isn't it, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the phrase? You can never go home. Is that
something like that, or like never meet your heroes? Thing.
Never DJ at Bagleys.
Yeah.
That's the one. Are they too? Yeah, it's like there was one. I went to one at similar thing. It was like a multi-room, gonna be massive.
Yeah.
I think it was at the Coronet.
Right. Oh God, Did a couple of them. The Outlook launches or whatever.
I don't think it was. It might have been because Outlook did like reunion parties at one point, like after the. It was
afterwards,
like October.
Yeah, any excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, basically, and it was like. We went. I'd not been in the Coronet for years.
Yeah.
But I remembered it fondly from when I'd first, because I used to like travel down to London when I first started going to, getting into electronic music and that, going to like early dubstep stuff. I'd travel down, get smashed on the train down, stay out all night, and then I went back in and I was like, it's just a massive labyrinthian shithole. Like it was just,
you
like
get stuck to the floor and
there was like the room my mate was playing in was like. Basically a broom cupboard in the corner, and whilst he was on stage, like security tried to remove him whilst DJing, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And they were like, "Sorry, we didn't realise you were a DJ." And he was like, "What do you think I've been stood up here doing?"
Just wearing headphones for a laugh.
And I think security were just as bored as we were.
Yeah, probably. So let's have a bit of drama.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a good way to spend the evening.
Oh, wow.
But and the Coronet shut. I got a curtain from there though. I stole a red velvet curtain and wore it as a cape all night.
Nice.
So I've got a curtain from the Coronet under the bed at home.
I remember, yeah, like they were
Some
selling
rock
like
memorabilia.
red stripe for like $5.
Yeah, and not in the
can.
fridge.
Yeah,
they kept them. They just had the pallet stacked up in this. What I love though, in the coronet, they did in the main stage. They'd have the like you could see the space where the fridge used to be, and they would stack the crates of red stripe in the hole where the broken fridge got removed.
Yeah,
and so just buy a fucking fridge.
But they didn't. They knew it was going under, so they just were just trying to rinse everyone
letting it run its wheels into the ground.
You want to book it? All right, yeah, fine. We're just going to rinse all your customers.
I think one of the last things ever. Oh my fucking god! I've just caught myself doing the greatest segue ever.
What's this?
One of the last things that ever went on there was one of Tim Westwood's club.
Oh god!
One of his all-white. He did an all-white ladies' night there, like about a week before it shut, and we were gonna go, me and Ash, but we just didn't get off the sofa. We sat
dressed in drag.
No, just in all white. You just had to turn up in all white.
Oh right, so it wasn't just for ladies.
No, but it's called a ladies' night because ladies always getting free at Tim Westwood gigs.
Oh right, of course.
Classic 80s chauvinism in action.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed on Twitter the other day you said about pretending to be Westwood to steal a hotel room off him.
Yeah, I mean,
talk me through how this came about.
So I was playing in Burnley.
In Burnley.
This was in Burnley.
No, but just the image of Tim Westwood in Burnley in itself is brilliant.
He was signing people's trainers, all sorts. Yeah, they loved him out there.
They love him everywhere. His gigs are like so lively.
It's
not. He's the fucking tits. I love Westwood.
Oh god, it was awful. It was like just play a.
So what were you booked as? Ruckspin?
So I was doing a sort of hip hop / drum and bass set.
Right.
In the second room, and it was like a charity fundraiser. I wasn't really getting paid.
Well, I bet
they
Westwood
didn't have
was.
a lot of money.
I bet Westwood was getting a fee.
Was getting fee, and obviously on his rider it said that he needed a hotel room. And of course, because like the initial plan was I was just gonna like hang out at my mate's who was helping promote it. Because the bad thing, so the Burnley thing came about because I ended up. Before uni, I'd done like a voluntary service thing, where we went to like 3 months in India and then 3 months in the UK.
Okay.
And in India, we had sort of spent a week in Delhi, going around, and then we went off to the Himalayas. It was amazing, scenic and beautiful. Obviously, doing like sort of charity work and helping build schools, and we ended up doing like a documentary thing. But then when we came back to England with our
exchange,
the exchange,
they just got a week in Burnley.
They got they got 3 months in Burnley straight after the Oldham riots, and it had been in the Oldham and Burnley riots and all that stuff had all been sort of white Asian, having a big fight.
Pretty tense times to bring.
And
to
so
bring
we're
some
all
Indian
walking
exchange.
about with our sort of Asian counterparts, just getting sworn at. No one would work with us. They struggled to find us places to live because you were supposed to live with families in the area. Hardly any families would take us in.
Fucking hell.
So we had to stay with the local MP.
Were you just like building pie shops around Burnley and stuff?
Well, no, we ended up working on the council because they're the only people that would let us work there because they were like, look, we need to get rid of this BNP. Like the BNP's going to get voted in, so we need to do stuff to
stop that. To
sort of promote racial integration. Their idea was to do a free henna tattooing,
right?
So that's obviously just going to appeal to one group of people, and then there was free ice skating.
Awesome,
for the white people.
Basically,
really going to promote integration. And then they did do one thing where they brought a load of kids from the various youth centres to go to the fun fair, to go to the theme park. And police had to be called, and they called it all off, and it was just fighting the whole time. So it wasn't like it was a bit of a rough place to work in. But then met a guy there who was trying to sort of do sort of community projects, who's involved heavily in like the sort of graph and street art scene and stuff.
Okay, right.
And he was like into
hip hop by extension,
hip hop and turntablism and all that sort of stuff. So then he started promoting nights as well.
Right.
Shout out Bodie. So then he he was involved in promoting this Westwood thing, and was like, look, dude, like we can't afford to book your hotel because like we're
Westwood's taking the budget.
Westwood, and we're trying to
Wastwood. Did you just say Wastwood?
Tim Wasteman.
Wastewood's taking all the budget.
Yeah. So, but then and then it turned out he didn't need it because he had obviously
not pulled.
Or he had and gone back to hers or something. I don't know. Yeah, so then he was like, look, it's down as Tim Westwood. You're going to have to just pretend to be Tim Westwood. They're not going to know the difference.
That's like the job I was born to do. Like, that's like my calling.
Yeah. So just like rocked up in sunglasses, throwing up gang signs, just being like, yeah.
Hamming it up.
Yeah. So, it was...
Did you get the room then?
Yeah, got the room.
Was it a nice room? Was it Burnley's finest?
No, it was like a travel lodge. I think it's probably why he chose not to do it. But it was quite funny.
Ah, mate, Westwood's a good old.
I had to pretend to be Andy C once.
Really?
Well, I mean, not pretend.
What is this sideline career you've got in impersonating other DJs?
No, it was more that, like, my first gig. So I did when I first went to uni, I started entering a load of DJ competitions because that's all I wanted to do.
Right.
And fuck the course. Like, I was just wanted to.
I'm here to DJ.
Music. Yeah. So I chose Leeds because of all the big rave posters that they had.
Really? Is that literally?
Yeah, I was just like, I want to go there because there's good stuff going on. Because I'd gone up.
I wish I'd thought that far ahead when booking uni.
Yeah,
I went to Lincoln, but there's nothing.
Man, I went on a few open days and I just thought, like, this place, because I'm coming from London where it's pretty hectic anyway. So, like, the last thing I wanted to do was end up in a place where there was nothing to do.
See, I was from a place where there was zero to do. So
anywhere
looked like an adventure. Yeah.
But so then went to Leeds and won this competition that, I mean, that's a whole nother story. That involved, like, scene politics and local corrupt judges and that was another story. I forget why I'm telling you about
impersonating
this.
Andy
C thing. So the first night because I got asked to do Valve residency, so that was like, wow,
yeah, that's fucking huge.
Like, first proper gig that I've got is running a Valve night and booking artists for that lineup. Paid for by some other guy who was the guy who used to run Essential Festival.
Oh, right.
Who, a load of other people had beef with and whatever. And I was just like a kid. Like, I don't know, but...
Just left holding the bag.
Yeah, I really like drum and bass and I'm going to book these people because I think it's going to be great. So I was the first person to bring Noisier to Leeds and he was like, I'm going to put them on first. I was like, well, no. Cause
that's not how this works.
No, that's not going to work. He was like, no one knows who they are. It's just like... Give them a chance.
Yeah.
But anyway, so...
Did they go on first?
Yeah, they did. Well, they went on after me, I think. And he was like, there wasn't anyone there for that. It was like, because you put them on first.
Yeah, because they're on at lunchtime.
Yeah. But anyway, but the first gig I did for him, like, it was Andy C, Fabio, and Ed Rush. And Fabio played and Ed Rush played. I was sort of hanging around in the back room, like chatting and whatever. And the promoter, the big guy with the money comes in and he's like, Andy's not turning up, can you do a set? I was like, what? And and then ended
so what did you do, just stick a baseball cap on?
Mate, like my first, because I'd only brought what I'd brought,
right?
And it wasn't the day. There was no such thing as CDJs. There was no such thing as USBs. It was all vinyl. So I was just like, well, I mean, I've got B-sides. Like, I've got a load of, like, tech stuff that I haven't played yet because it wasn't
I think you'd
right
smashed,
for the first
you'd
hour.
Smashed most of the stuff in the first...
yeah, the first hour was kind of like, I played a first hour set. I played some lighter stuff to get people in. I had a lot of, like, Calibre stuff and a lot of, like, Marcus Intellects and whatever. Nothing too heavy, but I did have some in my bag, like Dom and Roland and Tech Itch and stuff. Which I don't know if you're.
Well, as you know, I know absolutely nothing about drum and bass.
I mean, Dom and Roland's brilliant. He did a track called Imagination, which was like, they used basically there was a label called Moving Shadow.
I know the label.
So and they used to put out mix CDs in HMV. This was pre-internet, so
you could actually sell mix CDs.
Sell a mix CD, and it was 99p, and it was like nothing. And you would get like an hour and a half of drum and bass of these brand new tunes you'd never heard.
99p.
99p.
What year was this?
Or there would be a double CD for $1.99.
Right.
Some years, and
That's mentally cheap.
they did tracks with. There was a track. It was when Lockstock came out.
Oh, so like 98.
There was Easy Rollers on that, and Easy Rollers were on Moving Shadows. So they're obviously promoting Lockstock. They'd put out a double CD.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I remember that.
There was like before that as well. There was like 90. I think it was 97, 98.
Yeah, Lockstock
99.
was late 97. So
and they had these amazing tunes on there, and. Yeah, like Can't Punish Me, Dumb and Roland. They had some Tech Itch on there. All these incredibly well-produced tunes. And, yeah, Imagination was, like, for me... When I talk about, like, in the last podcast, we were talking about how jungle became drum and bass and then it got a bit boring.
yeah.
For me, like, Imagination showed me that you could do a rolling drum beat and make it,
not be
quite
dull.
a standard drum beat.
Yeah.
But it would be, like, cinematically amazing. Just in terms of like where it takes you, and like Imagination is just one of those tracks where it just like is so brooding and just builds and builds and then has loads of different changes in it and so much atmosphere and stuff and tension and and like played. I think I started off with that, and and people come who are expecting Andy C.
yeah.
And they get this like long drawn out intro.
Andy C's more
like,
playing whoppers. He's like whoppers and bangers.
Yeah,
isn't
it's like play all the biggest anthems that are around at the time, and I'm just like doing this long mixing like progressive mix. Everyone's just like, what? No.
So, but were you sort of like was the MC calling you Andy C?
Well,
no. Or did they just?
Basically a lot of people got pissed off because he wasn't there, which it's fair, but then a few people stuck around, and to play with I think it was Foxy who was on the mic, and Foxy and Fat Man D were two of my favourite MCs at that time, because I had heard an unreleased. I had a mini disc that my mate had given me because his brother was mates with Natural Born Chillers.
Yeah. So I know the name.
Who put out what was the tune?
I know the name. I don't know anything
Natural
they
Born
did.
Chillers. They did like, and then there was like a Mickey Finn remix of it or something, and that became a big
one
tune.
of the dodgiest names in drum and bass.
Yeah,
isn't it? The amount of times I've heard that name.
Aphrodite as well.
It's an odd.
As a bloke.
Is that a bloke?
Yes, a bloke. Yeah. So that was quite But yeah, so they had started a crew with Natural Born Chillers called New Breed Crew.
Chilled to Death. Is that their big one?
No. Rock the Funky Beat remix.
Might do a little. Maybe we could do a little playlist to go alongside
really like
this
to
one.
Rock the Funky Beat.
I've heard about 4 drum and bass. Well, I say that I worked in the office of Drum and Bass Arena for 5 years. I've probably heard it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a silly tune, but yeah. Then they started this project, and I had this mini disc of Foxy and Fat Man D with Natural Born Chillers production, doing hip hop.
Really? See,
and it was amazing, like really, really cool. None of it ever got released, but I
Classic.
had this like as a kid, you're like, what, dub plates? So yeah, and that really, and that meant that I kind of felt like I had a bit more of a connection to those two as well, because they were doing like proper lyrics. Yeah. Rather than
just standard MC
standard
hyping stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good.
It's not a bad start. It's all right, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, like baptism of fire a bit, because that was the other thing, which is what I sort of glossed over to get to the Andy C bit, was the whole process of how I got to that bit, where basically I had entered a competition, and at the time I was playing a bit of breakbeat as well. And there were 2 parts to the competition. So, like, my breakbeat set was, like, party tunes.
Right.
So I was mixing in, like, Fatboy Slim with some, like, I can't even remember, like, Magic Carpet Ride. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Possibly racist by contemporary standards.
A little bit. But then also, like, kind of worked with a lot of speed garage as well. So I was kind of, like,
speed garage,
mixing around that sort of tempo.
Yeah, and that proper raggy bangers.
Yeah, just raggy bangers, and break beats and, bass stuff.
So, right, as a naive person in these runs, what is the difference? I've never understood the difference between breakbeat and drum and... When does breakbeat become drum and bass?
Breakbeat is like sort of 130 to 140.
Right.
just a break, like doing so
stuff that was on like a lot of action film trailers in the 90s.
Yeah, stuff like Aqua Sky, they were a big breakbeat act. I can't remember who else was.
So I don't really know anything about breakbeat as a culture, like was it like dubstep, where it had like a period where it was just everywhere and then kind of fizzled, or?
Yeah, well, not really, because it never really had any sort of like heady. I mean, it kind of came around the same time as Big Beat, so it was kind of similar.
Yeah, I know Big Beat more.
But I remember like Zed Bias used to do a lot of it, and
we had like Zinc doing
Zinc
138
track, that kind of thing, where it's kind of like not garage because it didn't have a shuffle to it. It didn't have,
but it feels it's kind of swung in that same way.
Well, I don't think it was. I think it was a lot straighter.
Oh, okay. I always in my head 138 tracks are really kind of all over the place, skittish.
Yeah, I mean, garage DJs would play 138 track, but garage DJs wouldn't play Aqua Sky.
Right. Okay. So is that one of those kind of crossover tunes?
So yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So, but that it's all very. It's just music,
just
mate.
Nerdy bollocks.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like my breakbeat, quote unquote, set would be like just party tunes, and I would chuck in like Busta Rhymes.
Oh, see, that sounds much better.
Just party tunes, but they were kind of around that 120 to 140 tempo of just sort of mid-tempo, bouncy, dancey stuff with bass. But then I also entered into the drum and bass category. So then when it came to the night and you pull your names out, you pull your times out of the hat, my breakbeat set and my drum and bass set clashed.
Oh, you're double booked on your first night.
So that's the thing. So I was like, oh, shit. And the promoter said, well, which one is your best? Like, which one do you really want to do? And I said, well, I want to do my drum and bass one. And he said, well, which one are you best at or something?
Yeah.
And I said, well, probably better drum and bass because I don't really know anything about breakbeat and I'm just going to play party tunes. Yeah. He was like, all right, so do your breakbeat set and we'll put your drum and bass one at the end.
Right.
So you can play last. And I was like, oh, cool. So did the breakbeat set. I mean, it was fine, but it was in room 2 and it was just a bit of a party and like whatever. Yeah. I think I came like second, third or something.
So what was it like? Did they have judges?
So they had judges in both rooms.
But it was just kind of a rave setup.
And I think the people who were judging, well, it was the promoters who were like, so the promoters wanted 2 new residents. They wanted a breakbeat resident and they wanted a drum and bass resident.
And they didn't want to have to pay for it.
And then the second prize was like, a winner Vestax mixer or something. Anyway, but the judges, because the promoters weren't in the scene, they got existing resident DJs from Leeds to judge.
Right.
So I think it was someone who was running a breakbeat night or someone breakbeat label, or maybe like Utah Saints. They were in Leeds. Maybe they judged the breakbeat side of things. But they were obviously the person who won was playing actual breakbeat.
Yeah, it always helps in a breakbeat competition.
Yeah, whereas I was just playing party
just
tunes.
turning up slinging Busta Rhymes all over the place.
But but I think they recognised that I could play party tunes, so they were like, yeah, cool, like he can do that. But then when it came to doing the drum and bass set, so I rocked up to play, and we had the old Sigma Cameron from Sigma.
Oh right.
He was. I don't know what he had been doing prior to that. He was in a position where he was getting, white labels from people.
Right.
I think he was maybe working in a record shop or something, and he was getting like advanced copies of stuff. And at the time, I remember it clearly. I was going to put my record bag backstage because it was my time. It was at the end, and it was like MC JC and Ant from Momentum, Ant TC1 were judging, and someone else, I can't remember. And it was JC who turned to me, he was like, well, where are you going? I was like, well, I'm on next. He was like, no, you're not. This is the last set. Because he hadn't been told that the promoter had decided that they were going to put me on last. So he's like, no, this guy's on, he's on last. I was like, yeah, but the promoter said da-da-da. And he was like, yeah, but, I mean, are you going to beat him? Because, like, basically
that's the spirit.
Yeah, basically all of the judges had already decided. Oh yeah, it was Stepper as well was one of the judges, and they'd already decided that Cameron was the winner because he had all the latest dubs. Yeah. He was, he could clearly DJ well.
Yeah.
And was playing, bangers that people wanted to hear. Like, I think it was like a Dillinger dub plate that came out just then, and everyone went nuts for it. And I was kind of like, what? I mean,
I can have a go.
Yeah, he was like, do you have this tune? I was like, no. He's like, well, what tunes do you have? I was like, oh, I like...
Let me play the set.
Tech Itch and like Kamal and Rob Data and stuff. He's like, you're not going to win then, so just no point playing. So I basically left without being able to play.
Another. That's the music industry.
In a nutshell. That was a rude awakening to that. And then I was really pissed off, and I went to as you would be, I went to the promoter, like, I was just like really, really annoyed, just like they didn't let me play. And of course, Cameron finished his set, declared winner.
Yeah.
Gone, right, I've got the fucking Valve residency. Yeah. Great. Oh no, it wasn't Valve. It was at the time. It was audio format. They were called. Right. And he was like, he'd obviously knew that he had won. Wasn't witness to the conversation I'd had with the promoter, saying like, look, they didn't let me play.
Yeah.
And there wasn't time anyway, or whatever it was. So they were like, look, you can play next week. We've got the scratch perverts coming. And, just do your set after that or whatever. I was like, sweet. So then thought, okay, well, they would have told him. They didn't.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, so then the scratch perverts came, and I think it was the scratch perverts, and in the meantime I'd met Shlomo, who was the beatboxer.
Yeah, he's a beatboxer.
And me and him had put together a set of like beatbox scratching where we'd like, we'd do like a routine where
you put some effort in.
I would scratch and then he would copy it, and then I was like doing scratching behind my back and all this shit that I had been able to do from like day after day of practicing, which I can't do anymore, but whatever. But yeah, and then we put together this routine. Yeah, and then that was I think it was that time. And then basically we went on, the scratch perverts had run out of records after an hour. They were due to do like a 3-hour set. One of them hadn't turned up. The other one was hungover or something and didn't want to play. So then one of them had like held together like an hour and a half maybe. And then we went on early and sort of just stole the show basically with our scratching and hip hop like beatbox routine and everything. But of course everyone thought it was still the scratch perverts.
Oh really?
So then the Leeds student newspaper reviewer guy had come over and with like puke down his front. It was like, mate, that was amazing. You scratch perverts. And
another hard lesson of the music industry.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't get, and then we saw in the article that got written up in the Leeds student,
the scratch perverts were well good. Yeah,
didn't mention me, and they had basically given me the residency after that. They had gone, look, you proved you can play party tunes. You can do really interesting drum and bass stuff. We don't want someone who's
you can cover for other acts.
But that's the other thing, is that they didn't want someone who was just going to play the big drum and bass tunes at the moment. Yeah. They wanted someone who was a bit more flexible, who could do a first hour set or could do a last hour set, or and just take it somewhere else. And I had obviously proven that I could do that. Whereas I think with Cameron, he was good at DJing, obviously, but he was like a main hour.
Yeah,
like
peak time
I'm going
to
play the latest bangers because that's what I'm into. And that wasn't what I was into.
And as a resident, that's not particularly useful because you're going to have a headliner anyway.
Exactly. And I think promoters these days need to recognise that because there's so many times
nowhere even has residents anymore.
Well, the mates of the promoter who will play for nothing.
That's it. Yeah,
but
they're
not
residents.
all trying to play a headline set.
Yeah,
and they're not thinking about the
flow
arc
of
the musical sort of direction. But anyway, so then they gave me the residency. So then I thought, well, okay, I've won the competition then. So so then this is the thing. So then I started, because I was running a night myself, and I had put on the flyer with me and Shlomo. So I was like audio format competition winner. And Cameron had come up to me, he's like, you didn't win that competition, I did. what's all this bullshit? And then like there was all this sort of like split in the local scene, because obviously Stepper and TC1 and everyone had voted for him.
So what you're saying is
I was some kid.
You tore apart Leeds drum and bass community in one gig.
It was just like a really awkward time.
So this is actually one of the 2 questions I wrote down.
What's that?
Do you have or do you believe in the Muse? Because I've been reading about the Muse recently, and
I've got the same name as the drummer from the Muse.
Have you?
Yeah, Dominic Howard is in
God,
sorry, not the Muse.
The Muse. Hey, you heard that? The Muse. The Muse. That's very old man. That I've been listening to that. Knew the Muse. They're good, aren't they? Do you think it? Because I've been reading about it a lot recently, and I don't know that I have one. But then I actually realised that my ire with the world might actually be my Muse, because it's always when I'm pissed off at something
that you decide to get creative.
Like I started Purple City because I was bored of the way I saw record labels being run and like the PR for the first release.
Well, you're going to have endless musing.
That's what I mean. No, I'm probably all right for the rest. I've got no budget, but I've got plenty of ideas.
Plenty of ideas.
But yeah, like the first PR release for the Etch release was like, I think it was 3 pages long.
Right.
And I just wrote like this rambling narrative about space. Because I was like, I'm just bored. Like when you get the PR for something.
No one reads it.
Oh, after the deeply crashing hi-hats, we pull out into sunshine. And I'm not, I'm just going to listen to the track. I don't need to read about the track.
No one cares. And it's always a sort of made up.
Yeah,
nonsense.
It's total waffle. That's why I'm good at it. That's why I used to do it for a living, because I can write shit all day.
Yeah.
But do you have something that makes, like, what motivates you to actually, like, you've made this album, I've heard bits of it, it's bloody well good. But it's like, what motivates you to do those tunes?
It's still a work in progress, but like, yeah, I think, well, because I'm doing a lot of stuff to brief, there's a risk that, and I did feel it after a while, of sort of working for other people, where you stop having creative thoughts other than being inspired by being told what to do.
You become a vending machine.
Yeah, it's like, I need this, and so then you just go, well, I can do that by whatever.
X, Y, Z.
And then you keep thinking about how a particular subgenre works, and like what are the main elements that you need to include if someone asks for, a Dirty South hip hop tune, or what are the main elements of, like, I don't know, it's kind of like, and a lot of the briefs are kind of similar, so then you find yourself cool but fresh, and also like fast but slow, kind of finding this corporate type.
No, I do a lot of festival lineup
music.
Trailers, like animated lineup trailers for I've now, it's good money, and I've hit upon a formula basically, and I can just brief one in it. Like someone can send me the brief, and in a day I can just structure exactly what it is. It's there's no creativity in it for me now. I'm
very
just there,
little.
just going,
That's that.
Vending machine videos.
And it's like, oh, you want it to sound modern, but not too heavy, so I'll stick a marimba and a house beat and make it bonobo-y. It's like, that's kind of...
Jobs are good.
It's like, I know what you want, and I know you can't afford to pay...
Bonobo.
Bonobo,
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want this. But, like, sometimes the briefs are amazing, and there'll be a real challenge, like the one that was the Heineken one with Ronaldinho. Like, that was, they had done this video footage that was so Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You couldn't not do.
You couldn't go that. Yeah, you could not go that route.
Yeah, and I was like, awesome. Like, I get to bust the synths out and do some real, like,
go
screaming, like, and obviously, it's quite a dramatic scene as well. So like a lot of like heavy drums and all that sort of stuff. And so that's a lot of fun. But then you also want to work that into something that is like self-initiated, because if you lose that, you find it more and more difficult to get back into doing self-initiated things. So like if you're constantly pitching for stuff to brief, when you don't have a brief, you kind of like, I need to set a brief for myself just so that I can start doing stuff. I think doing the album was kind of like, and I also I love collaborating with people. So I got to a point where, I mean, in the early days, I was kind of like, I can't afford to take days off. I can't afford to just make music for the sake of it. But I think now I've got to a point where it's like I'm happy that there's enough work coming in that kind of like I can take a day off and I can just collaborate with someone on something, and if something happens with it, great. If not, it's not a wasted day. Like, there's plenty of music library stuff that I can do that's like, it's not immediately paying, but it's more of a like just getting stuff onto a catalogue just so it's there and it can be used, and then maybe you'll pick up some PRS or whatever from it. But then obviously there's some people in these studios that just do library music day in, day out, and it's like,
so what's library music in terms of...
library music is like when you have a publisher like EMI or Ninja or whoever who have like, they want to increase their catalogue for people who use music on TV or like films or whatever, and it's just sort of stock music.
Yeah, just make it's just
like
making...
MasterChef is a classic example. You get so many library tracks on that because they just have like a little cutscene where they'll have a piece of music that's
incidental.
Like,
it's just all the incidental stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, you need a full track, and then you need cut down versions of it for people to
making
use.
One is actually...
Yeah, it's a bit of a faff, but at the same time, a lot of the time they don't need a song. You're not trying to create a tune for radio music, or whatever. Isn't it? Yeah. So in terms of, like I was saying in the previous, I think I was saying in the previous podcast, like, I can't remember.
No point asking me, mate.
Yeah. But I kind of grew up on, firstly, classical music, mostly instrumental. Secondly, jungle, mostly instrumental. Thirdly, like Massive Attack, Portishead sort of production stuff, and Prodigy and whatever, that was mainly about the instrumental. Even if it did have vocals, it was sort of, there were large instrumental parts to it, and a lot of the focus was on that. On the sort of production and of the instruments. So in terms of doing instrumental music, that's definitely where my sort of comfort zone lies. Writing songs, writing lyrics, writing anything too folky, I don't know. I'm kind of I'm not. I find too many things really cringy.
Yeah. You are a cynic.
Yeah, and but it's
like me.
But I think there's a lot of singers and singer-songwriters who won't flinch at maybe, baby. Yeah. You know, like
it's the thing we were talking about earlier, which shall not be named.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sort of
things like that.
Like sticking some oohs in there.
But I find as well, like, I don't know, because I think it's, I don't know if it's because I listen to so much like folk music and kind of song like Nick Cave and Tom Waits, people like that. I listen to and especially in electronic music, like there was a period no one really does vocals on dubstep that much anymore, other than MCs,
unless it's a bootleg.
The black hole of bootlegs.
Yeah, or some
but
vocal you found in the
so many vocals. Yeah, or some anonymous ghost singer on your hard drive. So many vocals, I just like, they don't have a point. Like, I'm just like, this is just a vocal for the sake of someone singing on a track. They're not saying anything. They're not, it's not, it doesn't have to be political or like massively spiritual.
Well, I mean, All Yours is a classic case in point. It doesn't say anything. It, like, people read into it, but there's always that thing of like, oh, it can't be too on the nose because then it's really obvious and cringy. It needs to be a bit vague so people can put their own attach their meaning to it. Yeah, but with All Yours, it's literally nonsense.
That's it.
And I don't want to cuss it because it's a great song. Like, I still think it's one of those songs that we still play and it still gets an amazing reaction, and obviously a lot of people love it. In terms of the process of how it went, it's not like
doesn't really
mean anything.
But then I suppose that gets to the philosophical point of, if it means something to someone, does it matter?
That matters. Because
I'm just thinking, well, it doesn't mean anything to me, darling.
And it's not following a story or whatever. But
then I do listen to like John Anderson from Yes, who literally sings utter nonsense shit.
Or Rolling Stones.
Same at the top, and it just. But I like it, and like I like Slim Thug, can barely string 10 words together that aren't dull. Like, but for some reason I'm there going, Slim Thug's my favourite.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've probably not got a point with the whole lyrics thing, but I do at the minute. I find I'm struggling. That's probably how I should have phrased it. I'm struggling to connect with a lot of the vocals I hearing contemporary dance music.
Yeah.
Like, even just people singing about being in clubs. It's like, look, we all know why we go there.
Yeah.
The music, like, literally just stop singing about being in clubs.
Yeah.
Done now.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really... I guess, like, that's possibly what put me off vocals as well, is just sort of listening to the radio and listening to sort of...
And that'll put you off, all right.
Just awful songs. But I think more than that, certain songs on the radio really, because I do listen to the lyrics, if there are some, it really gets to me.
So yeah, same. Like, proper great. I'm like,
and I'm always thinking, like, this is music for 14-year-old girls predominantly, because I've always known that, like, it's in terms of the pop market, the main people that used to buy singles were girls that I knew who would go out every weekend and go to H&B and buy the latest whatever single. The guys I knew, they'd buy the odd album maybe, but like not always buying it. Yeah, it was clear that there was like a huge machine of like, we've got to churn out this stuff for the young women or young girls. And some of the lyrics are like horrible.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, like as a role model for like in terms of kids listening to these lyrics about getting blind drunk and then like waking up with some stranger in some weird person's bed and then go out and do it again the next night. Like, that's just, I'm so carefree and fun. That's awful. That's not what you should be telling kids is all right.
Yeah, but then I agree. But then if there was like Clunk Click Every Trip style songs in the charts,
no, of course,
I'd complain about that too.
True,
I'm just like, going to complain.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean, this.
But I think like some of the sort of like in terms of role models and stuff, like for instance the whole Chris Brown Rihanna thing.
Oh mate, that Chris Brown. I mean, we covered this briefly last time.
Even allowed?
Yeah, but it's like fucking R. Kelly again.
Yeah, exactly.
We covered it. There's so many, and what's his name? The one who just got killed, Triple X Temptation or whatever his name is. But
he got killed.
He got murdered a couple of weeks ago. He got shot. He's 21, but he was like the big thing at the moment. But he like beat his girlfriend. I think he kept her locked up in a room, and I saw it on a lot of the kind of. I don't want to get too deep into obviously no one deserves to get fucking shot or anything. Yeah. But like people going, why are you judging him on his actions and not his music? And it's like, well, because his music's just to make money and his actions are fucking inhuman. Yeah. Like I don't think it's wrong to judge him on those things. Yeah. Like, But it's a weird thing. Like, and it's like The Weeknd. Do you know, or The Weeknd? I don't know how you say it.
I think you just say The Weeknd. Yeah.
I quite like the music. Right. And like House of Balloons, I thought was a great record. Yeah. And when you actually listen to it, the lyrics are fucking horrible. Like they're really inhumanely
what you need
misogynistic. What you need is awful.
Is about taking someone else's.
It's
girl.
Horrible. And no, but even the like in the narrative of all of those songs, even after he's taken the girl, he's then horrible to the girl, and she doesn't mean anything, and he's just doing it to prove he's empty inside. And it's a really strange thing where like. And all the kind of Little Peep stuff as well, like this sad boy Xanax culture. Yeah. It's like people are now trying to prove how empty they've become.
Yeah, it's like apathy is the new cool.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like at least people always call me a cynic and say I'm always having a moan about something. Yeah. But at least I'm animated about something.
But like, it could just be a reflection of what's happening, in terms of like, data overload sort of thing.
It's like we said about having clear lanes to file things in. There's just so much now. It's easier to just tune out everything.
Up. Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to give up now. Just leave it there.
Yeah, just
give up. Just fucking leave it.
Strangle ourselves with some XLR leads.
We've got enough of them. Nice one, mate.
What is that?
I think that should be the end.
Because I mean, I feel like there's a few things that we're.
Oh, have we got to address some things?
To address.
What do we need to
address?
Oh, actually, I got the name of the Pitbull and Yin Yang Twins song wrong. It wasn't the Salt Shaker remix. It was actually just called Shake.
Shake.
I mean, you can see how I went wrong.
There's a few things where I've said Ninja Tune and what I actually meant was Counter, which was a subsidiary of Ninja Tune, but I was just lazy about saying it.
It's fair enough. Something else. I think I said something. I think I got a name wrong as well. I can't remember though.
But the corn mousse tea.
No,
that's a masterstroke.
We were bang on with that.
That was a masterstroke.
I think we were bang on with that. I reckon Moose Tea versus Hot and Juicy will be seeing some publishing money, and Korn might be seeing a lawsuit in the near future. We've unearthed a rock scandal, UK garage scandal.
That's it, exclusive. Yeah.
Right, let's get in the van. Let's go find Joss Stone.
Waffle. Listen. Fuck what you heard.